Good morning, goeiemorgen, molweni. Today is election day, South Africa. After months of taking our offer to every corner of the country, it is finally here. Kinako. From the world-class city of Cape Town to the island of excellence in Gauteng and Midvaal, we have shown that where the DA governs, we get things done. But remember, the power now lies with you. Your vote can be the difference between another 5 years of ANC corruption, rolling blackouts, and poor service delivery, or your vote can bring a DA government to your municipality. This morning, we will speak to our mayoral candidates on the ground, our leaders on the ground, and citizens from across the length and breadth of the country casting their votes. We'll catch up with them and bring you all of that action. We'll also speak to experts who will be answering all your questions relating to voting and the IEC. Remember, every single vote counts. Rally up your friends and your family members and your neighbors. Go and vote. Please share this broadcast with your friends and keep the conversation going using the hashtag VoteDA. You will also get more information on the DA's offer at www.thedagetsthingsdone.org.za. After the break, I'll be joined by the DA's head of policy, Gwen Gwenya, our federal chairperson, Dr. Ivan Meyer, Free State MPL Karabu Khachau, and DA Youth Regional Chairperson Tammy Jackson.
Africans of the importance of stepping up on the 1st of November and voting for a DA-led government.
Viva DA, viva! Viva! Pambili DA, Pambili! Right now, as we gather here today, 107 out of South Africa's 278 municipalities have either already failed or they are about to fail. We know that life is hard for many people where we govern. We know that poverty and unemployment still haunts many people, even if they live in a better run municipality than the one next door. But we're not satisfied, we're not complacent about this. We can and we must do better. Give us 5 uninterrupted years to clean out the corruption and to get service delivery back on track. If those 5 years can convince you, then we can talk about another 5 years after that, because that's how democracy works. There's only one party that can save our failing towns and cities and turn them around. There's only one party that doesn't just do the minimum of its job, but goes beyond to fight for the dignity and the future of our people where it governs. The only party that can say with complete honesty, we get things done. Join me in putting our crosses next to the one party that can do what needs to be done.
Joined us, welcome to our special Election Day broadcast. It is Election Day, people. It is the day for you to go out and go get and cast that vote. It's time to get out of bed, grab some coffee, grab a friend, grab your granny, a family member, and go vote. Remember, voting stations are open and have been open now for the last hour and a half and will close only at 9 p.m. Go cast your vote. But don't wait until the last minute. Go now. Go now to get and cast that vote. And vote for a party that gets things done. Gwen, I want to start with you. Why are local government elections important? Often people say, it's more exciting to see national government elections and the campaigning. Why are local government elections important?
Well, really, Sylvia, local government is the level of government that is closest to you and I, to every citizen. It's really at the coalface of services and service delivery. And so this election is particularly important because so many of our municipalities around the country are literally hanging by a thread. And if we don't get things fixed now, there won't be a next time.
Absolutely. And I mean, Dr. Mayor, why is it important for people to go out and vote? You've been to every corner of the Western Cape and in some parts of the country urging people to go out. And there sometimes is a certain level of people saying, my vote won't make a difference. I shouldn't really bother going out to vote.
Yes, I think, Sif, what is evident throughout the various places I have visited, but also the leadership of the Democratic Alliance have been around the country, and everywhere we see massive decay. We see municipalities collapsing in South Africa. When you have no more access to water, access to electricity, access to refuse collection, many of these municipalities, you see sewage running in drinking water in the rivers, and this is completely unacceptable. What we need in South Africa is a government that can fix things, change people's lives, and it is important for voters to go out and vote because your vote can win it. We have to change things, and as Gwen has rightly put, this is the level of local government closest to us. And every morning when we wake up, we need 4 basic things. This morning when I woke up, I switched on my electricity. Access to electricity is important. Secondly, I went to the bathroom, opened the tap, clean drinking water. I used the sanitation. I put out my refuse. It is important that people go out and vote and change the landscape in South Africa because your vote can win it. And this election is one of the most important elections since 1994. And this morning, as I sit here in the studio, I feel the excitement that I felt in 1994. There was a hunger for change. There was a hunger for new government. That hunger now exists in every single town across South Africa, and only the DA can fix it.
Absolutely. I mean, Tammy, I want to bring you in here as somebody who's a leader in our youth structures. 7 out of 10 young people are without work. It would mean to me, it would say to me that young people have actually the greatest interest in ensuring that they elect a government today.
No, that's absolutely spot on, Saviwe. I mean, if you look at the state of South Africa right now, you see that we are sitting with a 75% youth unemployment rate, which is totally unsustainable. And young people who make up just over a third of our country's population are disproportionately affected by issues such as crime, joblessness, lack of opportunities, etc., etc. And I think although this is a municipal elections and we're voting for service delivery, it is still important that people show up to vote, because if you do not have taps with running water, if you don't have roads that are fixed, if you don't have a government that's bringing in investment, bringing in businesses and attracting people to your city or your community, that really does affect your chances of actually finding your job and finding a decent opportunity at life. And so it is very important for everyone really, but even more so young people to show up to the polls, because they ultimately, are our next generation of future leaders in the country.
Absolutely. Karabo, I mean, Tammy raised an important point that actually there's a direct correlation between service delivery and job creation. Because no jobs go to a municipality that's broken. And so why is it important that people really turn out to vote when we've got such a high unemployment rate?
The most important thing here, Saviwe, to note is that there is no possibility of any sustainable future for any young person for as long as they live in municipalities where the local economy does not inspire economic participation.
municipality, there is no investment in an economy that works. Without an investment in an economy that works, there is no job. Without no jobs, young people's futures are doomed. And this is why it is important for every young person, but every South African altogether, to go out and vote today, because status quo has shown that it does not work for the people, particularly where the ANC is in government. Status quo only works for the people where the DA governs. And every South African deserves to experience that DA government. Every South African deserves to have a government that gets things done, that is centered on a commitment on people, that ensures that the first order of the agenda is ensuring that people have access to water, have access to electricity, have a sewage system that works, a sewage network that works, have economies. I cannot stress the importance of economies that work. And so that's why we need to go out there and vote. And if we don't go out there to vote, then we might as well just be happy to be drowning in the mess that we're drowning in right now.
Absolutely, Gwen. I mean, what would you say to people who are, who still a little bit undecided and at home? What would you say is the biggest difference if they vote in a DA government? What would you say would be the biggest difference for them personally, whether they're young or older, whatever the case may be? As you said, local government affects you and I in a very direct way. What would you say if they lend us their vote would make their municipality or city different if they have a DA government?
So it's really about being able to just rest in the knowledge of knowing that your municipality is in good hands, that the money that is collected from rates and utilities is going to be spent towards the good of the community and not to line the pockets of, party cadres or corrupt politicians. And on that record, particularly on good governance, the DA is miles ahead of any other political party in the country. So I think everyone wants to know that their hard-earned money, I mean, life is not easy, especially, post-COVID. And I think everyone really should care about how the money that they contribute towards rates, et cetera, is put to the best use possible. And I think voting for the DA is a vote for that kind of certainty.
I mean, Ivan, you have been part of the Western Cape government for a long time. And as Gwen says, I mean, while we don't govern nationally, the reality is that we've done a lot to try and shield people from failing national government, whether it is insisting on the devolution of powers around policing or insisting on trying to insulate, for instance, our cities from load shedding. I mean, we've done quite a bit and punched above our weight, even as a local and a provincial government.
Yes, thank you very much, Seth. Yes, in the Western Cape, we have tried to show that we are different and fundamentally different to the rest of the country because the DA governs differently. And one of the things that we are seeing across South Africa is the continuation of a failure of the national government. And one of the things in this term of office in particular, we set one of our values, resilience. Resilience means getting less and less dependent on the national government and advance the whole issue of federalism and the devolution of power, which are two policy positions which we've also adopted at our last Federal Congress. So how do we put that into practice? Well, we know that currently we are experiencing load shedding, and this is also an opportunity for voters across South Africa to switch off the power of the ANC, use your vote, switch off the power. Vote for the Democratic Alliance and switch on your brighter future under the Democratic Alliance. And that's exactly what we are doing here in the Western Cape. For example, at a very practical level, we have now started a program that's called a Municipal Energy Resilience. What this program is, making 5 municipalities becoming in future less dependent on Eskom and more dependent on alternative sources of energy, making sure that we are protecting our citizens here in the Western Cape, because one of our strategic objectives is economic recovery, and you cannot have economic recovery without energy provision. And so for us here in the Western Cape, for example, when the rest of the country experienced load shedding, here in the city of Cape Town, due to our access to the Steenbros Dam, hydro electricity generation, we have less load shedding than the rest of the country because we are using that. One municipality here also in the Western Cape The municipality of Stellenbosch is also embarking on a massive program to become less dependent on Eskom and use also alternative sources of energy. And so this is exactly what we are doing. We are seeing a massive failure of the national government, and where the Democratic Alliance is in power, we are not going to allow the ANC to pull us down. We're going to use the powers that we are getting from the Constitution, because we believe in a constitutional democracy. And when you appoint people, Sir, that are competent, that are caring, that are accountable, and that have integrity, then you have a better system of government, and we are not going to allow the ANC to pull us down. And so we ask the voters across South Africa, vote for the Democratic Alliance, take ownership of your vote and change your town, and don't let the ANC pull you down. Pull yourself up, vote for the Democratic Alliance, and see the change coming. What we are seeing here in the city of Cape Town and the Midvaal and Nelson Mandela, this is what we want to bring to the rest of South Africa. So the Democratic Alliance believe in federalism, in greater devolution of power, and in that sense, our principle of resilience, in other words, not accepting, not allowing the ANC to continue messing up this country, take ownership of the constitutional powers, like the South African police, who are failing the citizens of South Africa. My colleague, the Minister of Community Safety, Albert Fritz, doing everything possible together with JP Smith in the city of Cape Town with the implementation of LEAP officers, making the Western Cape safer for the citizens of the Western Cape.
Absolutely. Speaking about the rest of the country, Dr. Mayor, I did promise our viewers at home that we will be catching up with some of our leaders on the ground. We'll be hearing from them exactly what's going on and how the voting stations are like. We're going to be chatting now to our Northwest provincial leader, Leon Basson, the DA leader in the Free State, Roy Jenkinson, and we're going to be talking to Refilo Ntsege, who is our Ekurhuleni mayoral candidate. And we're going to be asking them, how's the gees on the ground, how are they coping, and what people can expect when they go and cast their vote. Leon, I'm going to start with you. Looks like it's a balmy day in the Northwest. How are you doing? How is it out there?
I'm fine, thank you very much. It's a beautiful day in Northwest, and I'm traveling between Potchefstroom and Motlasana, Klerksdorp. We've just visited some of the VDs in the Potchefstroom area, and it's buzzing there. The people are voting, they're coming to the DA table, and we see the change in the feelings of the people in the Northwest.
That's incredible. I really hope we can inspire people to leave their homes and come and cast their vote, knowing the importance of it, Leon.
That's correct, yes. And it seems that the people have taken a decision that they need some change. And in Northwest, there's not one single municipality that's delivering services to the people. And they want that change now. And the DA is the only party that could bring that change in Northwest.
Absolutely. If you're in the Northwest, please find your nearest voting station. Maybe you'll be able to spot our colleagues, Leon and his team, who are traveling the length and breadth of that province. Go and vote. Change the fate of Northwest for the better. Leon, all the best for the rest of the day, and, keep it blue.
Thank you. We'll do, and all of the best to all our colleagues all over the country.
Thank you. Roy, I want to come to you. It looks like a warm day in the Free State too.
Viva!
Viva, Leon,
Yes,
viva!
Viva!
It's a wonderful day today in the Free State. I'm standing in NPF on Baitlow voting station, the biggest voting station in the Free State. People are queuing 200 meters down the road.
Sure.
So it's obvious that people know that it's very important to come out and vote today. We can bring the ANC down to below 50% in the Free State.
That is amazing. I'm so inspired. I mean, by people waking up. I saw when I left my house this morning, people were queuing already at the voting station. I think it's a sign that people want things to change, Roy.
I'm sure people want change in the Free State. They deserve change in the Free State. As I've traveled the length and breadth of the province, I've seen that our people are swimming in sewerage. They're driving on roads that are life-threatening as a result of the potholes. So I think it's time for change in the Free State, and we can bring about those change. And it's obvious that the people voting here today and across the Free State understand that.
Absolutely. And remember, you did promise me that when we go back to Metsimahulu, you're going to organize me a pair of veldskoene. So when we have our victory party there, I'm coming for those shoes.
Absolutely, Sivu. I'm wearing my veldskoene with the DA logo on this morning, and they almost worn through. So I'm also going to need a new pair of veldskoens after this campaign.
Absolutely. All the best, Roy. And if you're in the Free State, maybe you can find Roy and his team. Go say hello while you go cast your vote. All the best for the rest of the day, Roy.
Thank you.
And now we've got our mayoral candidate in the city of Cape Town, Jordan Hill-Lewis, looking very mayoral there, looking dapper as usual. Hello, Jordan. How are you doing?
Hey, team. Lovely to see you. I'm well. How are you?
I'm good. I'm told you've already cast your vote this morning.
Voted.
There's that thumb.
I voted yay.
There's that thumb. How's the mood? I mean, are you seeing a lot of people turning out? What would you say to somebody who's still in bed, a little bit undecided, probably like a little bit deterred by the weather? What would you say to them this morning?
I'm here in Edgemead with the campaign bus, as you can see. I voted in Edgemead at the community hall my whole life. And I know that when I turn the corner, if there's a nice long queue stretching all the way around the community hall, we're going to have a good election.
Absolutely.
And this morning, as I turned the corner, there it was, the faithful DA voters of Edgemead, hundreds and hundreds of them lined up already at 7:30.
Wow.
So it was a long way. And it is a bit chilly, but I know that Cape Townians are coming out to vote, and I thank you very, very much. I know that we've had some teething problems with the IEC. We've heard of some places that opened late, some computers not working. Just stick it out, folks. We appreciate it. Make sure that you do your duty, and please go and vote. Don't worry about the weather. This is about securing Cape Town's future and doing the right thing for our city and for our country.
Absolutely. And I mean, momentary pain of getting out of bed this morning means 5 more years of good governance under your leadership.
Exactly. That's a great way to put it. And I'm now leaving Edgemead. We're going to go up to Durbanville and then across the city today. And I really want to see long queues wherever we go.
Absolutely.
That'll be a great sign for the future of Cape Town.
Absolutely. If you're in Cape Town and you spot the big battle bus, go and say hello to Jordan and his team, and go and cast your vote and go give him a high five. And please go out to vote. It might be a little bit chilly in Cape Town, but rather it be chilly this morning than chilly for the next 5 years. We were meant to catch up with our mayoral candidate from Ekurhuleni, Refilwe Ntsege, but perhaps we will see if we can still catch up with her. I do want in the next minute or so catch up with our ISC reps so that we can also have a conversation about why there are some of these teething problems. Remember, today is election day. If you haven't voted already, please do so as soon as possible. Phone a friend, share an Uber, take a bay. Voting stations are open, as you've seen. The gees is good. You have until 9 p.m. to cast your vote. We'll be back right after this.
Excellent.
The Democratic Alliance spends your money on delivering services where we are in charge. Unemployment is the lowest and we do not tolerate corruption. Even the national government admits the best run municipalities are all governed by the DA. But the choice is yours. You can choose collapsing basic services or streets that are maintained and clean. You can choose to live in chaos and fear, or the protection of thousands of local law enforcement officers. You can choose blackouts and the devastation of livelihoods. Or you can choose a DA government that is creating jobs and working to become load-shedding free. The DA is the only party that brings all South Africans together, and the only party big enough to bring positive change to your municipality. In this election, choose the DA, because the DA gets things done.
Today, South Africans head to the polls to make their mark and choose a local government. As you vote today, you probably have many questions. Where must I vote? What must I bring? Must I have a black mark? What if it rubs off? How many voting ballots do I get? How do I fill them in? So we've got our own election experts who will answer some of these questions and more. I'm joined now by our IEC rep, Advocate Werner Horn, and Adrian Frith, who is our own election systems expert. Werner, one question that a lot of people have: is the IEC ready to roll out this election campaign?
Hi, morning, Sir, and good morning to all viewers. Yes, if one talks about the IEC, it is important to remain hopeful and work with the IEC to address issues. Unfortunately, as per normal, there has been some logistical issues in all areas of the country this morning, but 2 hours into voting, those have been solved in the majority of cases. So our voters can be confident that they will ultimately be able to cast their ballots if they go in queue today. That being said, it is so that we, by and large, will have to be prepared to spend some time in the queues, not get frustrated if we're not assisted. It is a public holiday, and therefore, in theory, all of us, of course, should have available a whole day to go and vote. If one talks about the IEC's readiness, our feedback is that by and large, the vast majority of stations were up and running at 7 o'clock this morning, with some issues experienced, specifically the Tshwane area. We're working hand in hand with the IEC to get those addressed. And we will, of course, be able to communicate via social media with our supporters throughout the day to alert them to issues, and as well to advise them where there have been issues that has sort of impeded their right to vote early once those issues have been solved.
Absolutely. And that's why it's important, right, that we have representation on the IEC and that we work very closely with the IEC, because, of course, we want to cooperate, but at the same time, we want to make sure that we troubleshoot as quickly as possible, right?
Absolutely. So that's why it's so important that we have those party agents everywhere, that we have those liaison committee representatives who ultimately work with the IEC to alert the IEC to issues if they've not been alerted by their own people to issues. So the IEC, of course, works on a structure that enables them to have what they call regional managers, as well as municipal managers, provincial managers. And we can assure everybody who are experiencing issues that we are alerting the IEC on municipal, regional, and provincial, and even national level. I am sitting at the National Results Center of the IEC, and we've already escalated the frustrations, for example, in Tshwane, our voters, to the national representatives as well, so that hopefully we can help the IEC to solve those issues as soon as possible.
Yeah. Adrian, I want to bring you in here. What should people be expecting when they get to a voting station? We saw the IEC saying, bring your own pen. People are a little bit confused. What, if you've never been, what could you expect?
So, Severa, yes, what you can expect is, firstly, that the COVID protocols are going to be enforced. So they're going to expect you to wash your hands with a disinfectant before you come in. And then, of course, checking of your ID. So with the IEC has new voter management devices, so they should be able to simply scan your ID to check you off, and then possibly scratch your name off of a paper list as well. Then you'll be issued with the ballots. Please, important thing, the ballot must be stamped by the presiding officer or by one of the assistants. They must stamp the back of your ballot. Make sure that the IEC stamp has been applied to the back of each of your ballots. Otherwise, they may not be counted.
Okay.
And then there are, depending on where you are, you may be getting 2 or 3 ballots. Siv, would you like me to talk about what those
This
are?
is important. Yeah.
Okay. So if you live in a metro area, if you live in an area like Joburg or Cape Town or eThekwini, you get 2 ballot papers. One ballot paper is the ward ballot. That is to elect your local ward councillor for your ward, and you'll see the name of the candidate and the party logo. So we want you to put your X next to the DA's candidate. The other ballot is what is called the proportional representation ballot, and that decides the overall how many seats each party is going to get in the council. So, of course, there you will just see a list of parties, and we want you to put your name next to DA on that list as well.
Okay.
If you live in a ward, even if you live in a ward which you don't think the DA is going to win, a vote for the DA's ward candidate still also counts towards getting the DA seats overall in the council.
Okay.
Now, if you live outside of the metro, if you live in a district local area, you get a 3rd ballot. And the 3rd ballot is for your district council. So there'll be 1 ballot for your local councillor, 1 ballot for your local municipality, and 1 for the district council.
Okay.
Once you've marked your ballots, you put them in the ballot box, and that is the end of the process.
In the 3rd ballot, the district one, is it just a logo? Is there a logo and a person, or how does it work?
It's just, the district one is also the party. So you'll see Democratic Alliance and the party logo. But there's no person's name. It's just you're choosing the party. Okay.
So what's important is that on all 2 ballot papers or on all 3, people must obviously choose the DA, whether it is the DA ward candidate or just the DA as a party.
Exactly. So, yes.
Yeah. Vanna, why is it dangerous for people to, Adrian has now taken us through this process. I mean, I feel ready to go and cast my vote now. But why is it important for people not to split their vote? Some people will say, I'll do, party oranges for my district and then bananas for, my local one. Why is it dangerous for people to split their vote in that way?
Yeah, so, I mean, a lot of talk has been going on social media as well over the last week to the effect that people argue that no vote is really ever wasted. And that is, of course, not so. If you look at the typical ballot in the bigger metros, there will be more than 50 parties represented on that ballot, with about 5, 6, maximum 7 of them ultimately being successful in getting elected councillors to that council, and it stands to be argued that the others, of course, a vote to the others have been wasted. Specifically, if it is a vote, if you're a voter who wants change in your municipality, who are fed up with the way things have been done by your municipality, and you want change, then you better served giving your vote to the party that can showcase successes in local government, rather than living in the really unrealistic, unsubstantiated hope that a new startup party will bring change to your municipality.
Absolutely. And I mean, Tammy and Ivan, I want to bring you in here for one quick question. But Adrian, what then happens after the elections are done? From a process point of view, when can I expect to hear if, my party made it or what?
So as soon as the voting is closed, obviously voting goes until 9, and if you're still in the queue at 9, you must still be allowed to vote.
Okay.
But once everyone has cast their vote after 9, then the counting begins. And so at the voting station, they will open the ballot boxes and the IEC staff will count the votes in the presence of party agents. So we as the DA have party agents who are watching to make sure that process is done fairly and correctly. And so once those results have been counted at the voting station, they will take those results to the IEC's local office and they will be entered into the computer system, and then that is transmitted to the IEC where it will appear on the big board at the results center where Werner is.
Okay.
We can hopefully expect that most of the results will be done counted sometime tomorrow. Though I believe the IEC has said that the final results will likely only be on Thursday.
Okay.
But by tomorrow or Wednesday, we will have a very good idea of what the results are looking like.
Hectic. Do you see why every single vote counts? It doesn't help for you to say other people will go and vote. I don't have to. As Adrian says, we'll be able to start to see when the votes come in from tomorrow, from Wednesday. And so if you want to keep your ward, your town, your city blue, you've got to go vote. Just one quick question to everybody. 10 seconds. I'm going to start with you, Tammy. When was your first time?
The first time I voted was in 2016. I just turned 18 years old in time to vote.
Just tell
for
me
the
if
year.
it is right now.
And Werner, when was your first time?
Well, you know, I'm old, so it depends on whether you're talking constitutional democracy area. I am glad to report that I was part of that historic event in 1994 already.
Oh, cool. And Dr. Mayor, and you?
I voted in 1994 for change, and yesterday I brought out a special vote for Jordan Lewis to become the next mayor of Cape Town.
Yeah. And you, Adrian, when was your first time?
My first time, I turned 18 in 2006, and I voted then in 2006 to bring in the DA administration that took over Cape Town.
Absolutely. And I'm looking forward to casting my vote a little bit later. My first time was all the way back in 2009. And it was good. Now, remember, I did promise you that we're going to be catching up with some people on the ground, our leaders, our mayoral candidates. And so we're going to be chatting to Desiree van der Walt, who is our campaign manager in Limpopo. We're going to be talking to Tom Wells, who's also a first-time voter. Like I just asked my panelists here when their first time was. Tom is actually going to tell us exactly when his first time was. How his first time is going. And the DA Tshwane mayoral candidate, Randall Williams. So we're going to be catching up with them. Let's take a look. Randall, I'm going to start with you as a sitting mayor. How are you doing? How are you feeling? How's the mood on the ground? How's it going?
Well, it's been a very, very long campaign, even although it was one of our shortest campaigns, 3 months long here in Tshwane. I've been to a few voter stations early this morning, including casting my own vote, and I had to queue for more than an hour to get my voting done with. And I've come to other voting stations, equally very long queues. So I think we're having a good turnout in Tshwane.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's important to tell people that, regardless of how long it will take, it's either, an hour or two now or 5 years of bad governance.
Yes, definitely. Become part of the solution. So that people can decide for themselves who should govern their city or municipality. Very, very important. Don't let someone else decide for you.
Absolutely. And Randa, I know you've got to run and go and see some other voting stations, but what would you say to somebody who has not quite yet decided, who's, a little bit in two minds, wants to kind of have friends for a braai instead of going to cast their vote, particularly somebody in Tshwane, and what is the importance of giving us that 50+1?
Look, very importantly, when people take a decision, look at the track records of the parties. Don't let the party give you the same promise over and over every 5 years and simply don't deliver. And then they go to you with a T-shirt and a parcel of food. Don't be fooled by that. Look at their track records. And the DA's got an excellent track record. Of the 10 top municipalities, 9 are governed by the DA. There are 278 local governments in South Africa, municipalities in South Africa. Of that, more than 140 are failed municipalities. And who run those municipalities? 99% of them are being run by the ANC. Do you want Tshwane to be added to that failed number? No. Look at the track record of the party. And another thing people need to consider very carefully,
Do you want your municipality to be run by coalition? Coalition governments in South Africa largely don't work. Come out in your numbers, bring your family, friends, your communities out, and tell them to come out and vote for the DA so we can get the 50% plus one.
Absolutely, absolutely. All the very best, Mayor. And, it looks like a really nice day out in Tshwane. And all the best in visiting the various voting stations. And good luck.
Thank you very much.
Desiree, I want to bring you in here. You look like you're on the ground. I can see some people there. It looks like there's a hive of activity in Limpopo, which is really exciting. I'm hoping people are coming out to vote.
Yes, indeed, Safiwe. I'm currently in Zanin. The people have been queuing from before 7 o'clock this morning at this particular voting station. And across our province, our voters were ready at 7 o'clock. We feel a great excitement on the ground in Limpopo. And so the day has started busy.
Absolutely. And do you think that people are quite understanding what's at stake in this election campaign? And do you think that's why people are not treating this like any ordinary day and they're wanting to go and cast their votes?
Yeah, I think you're quite correct. I think, as we know, Limpopo only has 2 of the 22 local municipalities in a minority government led by the DA. All the rest are ANC, and I think the last 5 years were just the tip of the iceberg. People saw how well we do, and they will use the stepping stones we have laid to make more municipalities DA and get them out of the hands of the ANC. The ANC has really ran our province and service delivery to the people, and especially the poorest people of our country, to an absolute state of zero delivery. And
Absolutely.
I think people have gotten the DA message very well, and the examples we've set on where we govern well, and that we are the best ran municipalities in the country. And I think people is just fed up.
Absolutely. Icon, if you are in Limpopo, please go out and vote. Maybe you can spot Desiree and her team. Go and say hello. Show her your thumb. But please do not let this opportunity pass. Yeah. You've got until 9 p.m. It is now just after 9. You've got 12 hours, but don't wait until the last moment. And now I'm going to chat to Tom. Tom, how are you doing? It is your first time today.
Hi, Safiwe. Yeah, it's a rainy day in Cape Town. I stood in the queue for about 10 minutes. It was pouring, but I think that's a small price to pay for participating in our democracy. Yeah. It's a very empowering experience.
Absolutely. I mean, what would you say to other young people who are like, oh, well, I'm way too hungover. It's a public holiday. I'd rather go have a braai. What would you say to them about the importance of this decision?
Well, I think our democracy was so hard won. Many people sacrificed their lives, many years in prison. And I think standing in the rain to participate in our democracy or standing in a queue, wherever you are, is such a small price to pay. It's really no big deal. You bring your ID, you stand in a queue for a bit, and you cast your vote. And I mean, we're electing the people who will be governing our municipalities for the next 5 years. And this affects our day-to-day lives. So I would definitely encourage any young person to go and vote today.
Absolutely. I'm so proud of you, Tom, and I'm proud of what you're doing. And it's pretty cool, hey, Tammy, because I think, somebody like Tom just encouraging other people who may be first-time voters that if you registered, go out and vote. We're not the future leaders of tomorrow. We have to lead and go and take our future into our own hands now.
No, absolutely, Safiwe. And like Tom just said, getting out of bed in the morning and standing in a queue to participate in your country's democracy, it's a very small price you have to pay for 5 years of either good governance or bad governance. So if you are unhappy with the status quo, wherever you may find yourself right now is the opportunity for you to actually show your dissatisfaction on the ballot paper.
Absolutely. That is your greatest form of protest. And as I promised you, we would also be catching up with our mayoral candidate in Johannesburg, Dr. Mpho Phalatse. Kunjani sisi?
Hi, Khomunati. Once again, today we're making history right here in Joburg. People are out in their numbers voting. I've been to a few stations already. The queues are long. There's no parking space. It's so encouraging to see that people are exercising their democratic right, taking back their cities and giving them to parties that they believe can make things happen for them.
Absolutely. That is so heartwarming. I'm so proud of South Africans, man, because, you know, usually people say local government elections are not that important. But as we discussed earlier, actually, they are incredibly important to your life, Mpho. And you have been on the ground and seen how a badly local government election can affect one's life.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, the last 2 years in Johannesburg have been a tragedy for everybody living or working in the city. The city is broken. You know, for an economic hub of the country and the continent to be in a state where people are asking for water, electricity, it's a real shame. And we really need to take this back today. I hope that many more people will come out and use their democratic rights wisely today and give the Democratic Alliance a chance to save cities like Johannesburg.
Absolutely. And Mpho, tell me, what would you say to somebody who's slightly undecided, who, you know, is kind of like, well, maybe I should just, you know, to have a brighter day instead of going out to vote? What is at stake? And, you know, if somebody has to go out and make this decision for the next 5 years, what would you say is at stake today?
Well, local government is the sphere of government that's closest to the people. It's about basic service delivery. It's about whether or not you will have running water, whether you'll have electricity, you drive on roads that are surfaced, whether you have transport, whether you'll feel safe in your municipality. It's about your day-to-day lived experiences. It's not about ideology and big ideas. It's really about a government that delivers for you to have normality and functionality in your workplace, in your home. And you just need to look at the party that's done that elsewhere in the country. The Democratic Alliance has been doing it everywhere where we govern. And we want to continue doing it in Johannesburg, in Tshwane, in Ekurhuleni, in Mogale, in Medvaal.
Absolutely. Listen, we've just been told that that John is busy casting his vote. Let's quickly take a look, Mpho.
Great, thank you. Nkosi.
Thank you. They'll show you where to go.
Great. Are there pens there or do I need to?
Yes, there's
okay,
a pen.
great, thank you. Ah. Have you seen it? There we go. One vote for Chantal de Boer. And another vote for the... Wow, that's long, huh? Look at that.
Yeah. Jeez. DA. Yay.
Should write Egypt.
Oh, did he take another part? Was there another part?
Mm. Careful because we're live, huh? Okay, there it is. Yes.
Slowly there, John. Slowly.
Yep, do you want just me alone?
Okay.
Okay. It's one vote in the box for you, Chantal. Okay. And one for the DA. There we go.
One day game.
Yeah.
Just meet our party agent here.
Yeah, sure.
He's here in the blue shirt.
Yeah, good. Yeah, great. Just voted. Wonderful. Make sure you come and do it. Quick and easy. Really, really easy. Make sure you come and vote. Voted for Chantal de Boer as the ward councillor, and of course voted for the DA on the party ballot. Really excited to be able to cast my vote at the station I've been casting my vote at since 1994. Cool, cool.
This is Barry.
Thanks. Hi, Barry.
Correct.
If you've already voted, like we've seen, John Steenhuisen casting his vote there in Durban, congratulations, because you know what? Now that is what we call country duty. If you still must vote, get to your local voting station as soon as possible. Go with your friend, pick up your granny, take your dog with you, go and vote. Just remember, you have to have your mask, bring a pen, but bring your coded ID, either smart card or your green ID book, or even your temporary ID. Remember, this is a decision between 5 more years of the same or voting for the DA that gets things done. Together, we can stop the ANC and the EFF. Joining us now is the DA's head of communication, Richard Newton. Richard, hello. It has been a long but short election campaign. There's been a lot that's been said about this election campaign, but there's been one central message that the DA has been punting.
That's correct, and that's the DA gets things done, and where we govern better. And I think we've been very consistent with that, and I think it's one of those messages that you can back up. We're the only party who can actually back up that statement to say where we govern, we get things done. It's not we'll do something maybe in a few years from now, or terribly sorry, we'll try our best later. We get things done. And I mean, we've shown that, and I think that is being reflected in a lot of the messages we're getting from supporters out there and people who've maybe been unsure about where to cast their vote. They now have taken our message to heart.
And I mean, this is why, Richard, do you think this is such a decisive moment in history? I mean, Ivan said that just earlier about the fact that this is one of these, and one of the most important elections since 1994. What has led us here?
I think what we really need to understand is that people generally are prepared to give people a chance to get things done, but it's been too long. The ANC have failed and failed again and failed again. And people are just tired. And we've seen in this election campaign that President Ramaphosa and other ANC leaders have been apologizing more than they've been actually trying to canvass votes, because people come and say, what about electricity? What about houses? What about water? What about sewerage? And they just don't have the answers. Whereas, as we said earlier, the DA can point to projects, to campaigns, to work that's been done and say, this is what we're doing, and we want to do it for you too, where you live in a current ANC municipality. And people are seeing through the apologies and the, oh goodness me, we'll get it right next time, and who could have done this? It certainly wasn't us. People see through that now, and I think that's why this is so critical. And we've seen it in the media reporting in the last 24 hours about how the ANC is polling below 50%. And that's a big, big thing. And we have to realize that this is an opportunity for us to say to people, give us 5 years. We'll show you what we can do. We've shown it to other people in municipalities where we already govern. We'll show it to you. Give us 5 years and we'll prove what we can do.
Yeah.
And also, the thing is, Ivan, I mean, what we're saying to people is that, it's not just, 5 years of party loyalty. But I just want to quickly cross over to John back at his voting station.
And just secondly, we're looking forward, what do the results of these elections mean for your future in the DA, given how they go?
Well, I've been in the DA and involved here in the DA since I was 17 years old. I've been voting here since 1994 at this very same voting station. This was my ward for 10 years when I was a Metro councillor. I've been involved with the DA my whole life. I'll be involved with the DA until my dying day, because I passionately believe that this party is the future for South Africa. It's the only party that's bringing South Africans together from different backgrounds, from different religions, from different communities around a common set of values and principles. So whatever the outcome of today is, the cause endures, and the hope never dies that we can bring our policies and our principles to bear at a national government level. And that's the work that we'll all be doing, and certainly I'll be doing till my dying day.
Sorry, sir. Hi.
Hello.
I would like to ask, is the DA concerned about the threats that have been going around to other voting stations?
Well, any intimidation or any attempt to intimidate voters must be completely rejected, and it must be prevented by the South African Police Service. Voter intimidation is not acceptable in a democratic society. People must be allowed to come to these voting stations and vote for whoever they want. Whether it's my party, I'd be very grateful to have your vote, but if it's for another party as well. But they must not be impeded from voting and making sure that their voice is heard. Voter intimidation is a terrible tactic, and one that must be rejected by any democratic society.
A part of your campaign has spoken about all the ANC and the EFF have done wrong. Would you be open to working in a coalition with them should the results come down?
Now, our campaign is actually focused on what the DA has done right, and I challenge anyone to look at our manifesto. The EFF and ANC are hardly mentioned. We focused on the 7 things that you need to get absolutely right in a municipality, whether it's a small town or whether it's a metro. And that's why our slogan is not that the ANC doesn't get things done, it says the DA gets things done. And our manifesto shows very clearly how we are not talking, we're doing these things where we govern. We are going to go into this election. We're going to get as many DA votes in the ballot box as possible. And thereafter, we will sit down and have a look at forming coalitions where we don't have a majority. But those coalitions will only be with parties that share our values and principles: non-racialism, respect for the rule of law and the Constitution, a social market economy, and a capable state without cadre deployment. If you believe in those 4 fundamental things, we're willing to talk to you as a political party.
Mr. Steenhuisen, and the people at home are watching and preparing to go out to vote. What is your message to them?
Get out and vote. I mean, this whole election is going to come down to turnout. You don't get another chance. There is literally 5 years that you've got to live with the choice that's made today. If you want to have towns and cities that work, get out and vote for them. If you want a government that's going to be on your side, get out and vote for it. If you want service delivery, get out and vote for it. Don't sit at home. Don't turn this long weekend into a 5-year nightmare. Make sure that you get up and play your part in ensuring that we have a sustainable democracy, but most importantly, that you've got a government that's going to get things done for you and not for politicians.
In closing.
Ivan, John talks about how making sure that you vote for a party that gets things done for you and not the other way around. And I think that's an important message to people as they make the decision to go out and vote this morning.
Well, that's a very important message for voters in South Africa. We want you to vote to make your lives better in the area where you live, because all politics are local, and this is a local election to change the circumstances in your street, in your neighborhood, and certainly not to vote for the African National Congress, because a vote for the ANC is a vote for more 5 years of corruption, fraud, and maladministration. And as Richard said, it cannot be that we forgive people who've stolen money for the last 27 years. This election is about your future, to make a better life for the citizens and your family and your children. This is not another 5 years of fraud and corruption to enrich politically connected ANC people and enrich Lutuli House. The country is bleeding, and we ask you, take the future of South Africa in your hands. Make your choice, because your vote can win it, and the Democratic Alliance is the only party, as Richard said, with a proven track record that changes the lives of people. And wherever you live across South Africa that is not run by the DA, we say it is time for change. But you have a responsibility. All of us have abilities, but today we want you to use your ability and give it a responsibility. Responsibility to vote for a party that will effect change. Once you give your ability, responsibility, we see the capability of your town. And the capability of your town can only come to its rightful place under the Democratic Alliance. So this is really a very, very important election. So the message is clear. As Tony Leon said, the drill is simple. Vote early, vote DA.
Absolutely. And Gwen, I mean, we saw John saying to people asking, you know, who are you willing to work with? And we've been quite clear that every political party goes into an election with the sole intention of winning an outright majority, because we want to be able to essentially implement those key tenets that we've put in our manifesto. And he lists some of the things that are non-negotiables for us. Would you remind the people at home, what are some of our key non-negotiables that we've centered our offer around in this election?
Well, it's so important to understand that we are best in a position to actually deliver on those core principles where we have an outright majority. If you look at the places where we have governed the longest, such as the city of Cape Town and at Midvale, our governance track record is the clearest. It is far more difficult to deliver on those principles where we have to compromise and govern in coalition. But we will do our best not to compromise on the core values and principles that we hold, and that includes principles such as, you know, upholding constitutionalism and the rule of law. We're going to make sure there's a clear separation between party and state. We will not get into government with political parties that use, state funds to line their own pockets. We will also make sure that we prioritize a social market economy, which we will help to drive local economic development, and we're also going to prioritize our values of non-racialism. So those are some of the key tenets of what we look for in a coalition partner. But obviously, I must stress, as John stressed, that is not the goal here. We have to go out in our numbers. Every single vote counts. In many municipalities, it really does come down to the wire where things are very, very close. Your vote could be that one that gives the DA an outright majority. And so please do go out there and vote.
Absolutely. I mean, and we saw what happened in LNB where we were, a couple of hundreds of votes shy from a full majority. And that's why, Karabo, I think it's very important for people to not think that their vote won't count. As Gwen says, we're going out there to win. We want to win outright because where we govern outright, we can see the manifestation of a clean government.
100%, Sif. You guys are absolutely right. And to each and every human being who's sitting at home doubting, thinking, we've seen how we've been voting year in and year out, but we don't really get change. I want to say to you, my personal mantra in life is that the value one has for anything in life is always measured by how much they're willing to sacrifice for it. So if you value a sewage network that works, if you value an uninterrupted supply of water 24/7, if you value roads that work, that are drivable, if you value streetlights that work, if you value the collection of your sewage, if you basically value an economy that works on a local level, if you value your employment status as a young person, this is your opportunity to sacrifice your doubt, to sacrifice your comfort on your couch, to sacrifice a long weekend. There will be many more long weekends to come for you to enjoy and gear. And imagine how much more exciting it is to go and have fun in a community, in a municipality where things get done. So sacrifice all of your doubts. Remember that there is no vote that goes wasted. You're sitting down and watching and deciding to not go and vote is a confirmation of status quo. You're sitting back and staying away from the polls is ultimately a vote for the ANC. And that's what we cannot afford to have in South Africa. Each and every vote counts, and particularly when that vote goes to the only political party in South Africa that has proven that it gets things done. A political party that is not saying so themselves, but has been audited by independent auditors to say that, yes, they run the best municipalities, they use finances in a way that is sustainable, in a way that is efficient, in a way that is centered on the delivery of services.
Absolutely. And now we're going to catch up with our mayoral candidate, Ngaba Banga in NMB. We're going to be catching up with Harold Moglua, who's the Northern Cape leader, and Francois Rogers, who's the DA leader in KwaZulu-Natal. We want to hear from them. How's it going? What's the gees like on the ground, like we have been with the rest of our guests? And let's take a look and see, especially, especially with NMB that has become ground zero for this election campaign. We are working very, very hard to make sure that we really win that municipality outright. I'm going to start with Francois. Francois, good day. It looks like a nice balmy day in KwaZulu-Natal. How is it at the voting stations? Yeah. We're struggling to hear Francois. I'm hoping that he can come closer. And Francois, are you there?
Azikhale namhlanje.
Yes, I can hear you. It looks like it's such an exciting time on the ground.
It is indeed. I'm at John's voting station in Northwood, where John's just voted, and the people are coming out in their numbers, and they're ready to make their cost, and they're ready for change, and they're ready for the DA.
Absolutely. And Francois, what would you say to people who are, a little bit reluctant to go out and vote? I mean, this is the only chance that they have for the next 5 years.
Absolutely, Siviwe. Municipal services is where the rubber hits the road, and this is where people can make a difference in their lives, in things that affect us, whether it's power, whether it's water, whether it's our roads, whether it's our sanitation. This is where it counts. And if people want change, today is the opportunity to make that change.
Absolutely. And I hope that the people of my favorite mayoral candidate, the people of Umgeni, I hope they're all coming out to vote, because we're ready for a DA government up there.
Absolutely. From here, I'm on my way to Umgeni to greet the incoming mayor, Chris Papa, and our team on the ground there. Yesterday, we welcomed the ANC mayor, so it's all set for great change in Umgeni.
Absolutely. And if you're in KZN, if you're in Umgeni, around Hilton or in Durban, and you see Francois and his team, go and say hi, go cast your vote and show them your thumbs. Thank you, Francois, for the work that you're doing, and all the best for the rest of the day.
Great stuff. Azikhale namhlanje.
Azikhale! Mthembu, kunjani?
Hayi siyabulisa siviwe kunjani kuni?
Hayi siyaphila mfondini, singenisa umeya ngesecond ngomso sifaka umeya omtsha NMB. Well, not omtsha, siphinda sifaka umeya okhoyo NMB tomorrow.
Yes, that's true. Senza lonto sifuna abantu bahambe bayovota, and they voted Democratic Alliance today. It's an important day. It's the most closest municipality for us to run for the next 5 years in building a prosperous city that will serve all our people. When I say all, I mean all the people of South Africa. That is not going to exclude some because they are minority, but we want to serve South Africans together. And what I like about the DA, we have a plan, and when we govern, we get things done. And we have shown just next door in Poga municipality is one of the best municipalities in South Africa, run by the DA majority. That's why we need this majority. And our voters should come out in numbers today. This is the best chance we've ever had, having the ANC below 50% right now. If we break them now today, the ANC will never come back in South Africa, will be able to save South Africa. And I think we're in the journey towards that, and the voters are responding very well.
And I mean, Mama, I know for a fact, we were shy of a couple of hundreds of votes the last time from winning an outright majority. So people must realize that their one vote, their personal vote, could make a difference between, a coalition government or an outright DA government like the one we have in Cape Town.
Yes, of course. People must go out. One vote is very important. We lost. We nearly missed a majority government in Nelson Mandela by 12,000 votes.
Sure.
Which could have given us 4 seats. We could have been a majority. And therefore, we want South Africans throughout to understand that your vote is important. In particular, those people who want prosperity in this country, who want growth of the economy, who want stability, who want unity of our people. That vote is so important for us to turn that page and make sure that we build a foundation for our children of a prosperous and stable city, country and a city that is run by responsible people. And I think the DA has been responsive and responsible enough to deliver working governments. And where the DA governs, it gets things done.
Absolutely. Well, all the very best, Mthembu. We are rooting for you here. If people see you on the streets, KwaNobuhle or in Summerstrand, they must come and say hello and show you their thumbs. And I hope the people of NMB can really reclaim their city and put in a mayor that will get things done for them. It's good to catch up with you, and all the very best for the rest of the day. Harold in the North Cape. Hello, Harold.
Hallo Cici, goeiemôre hier uit die Noord-Kaap en die paneel daar. Gaan dit goed?
Ek is goed, dankie. I've got also Dr. Mayor here who's wanting to say hello and wish you all the very best for the day.
Ja, Harold, alle sterkte daar met die verkiesing. Ek sien julle het 'n baie goeie event ook gehad daar, saam Siwewe en saam John daar in die Noord-Kaap. Dit het goed gelyk daar, die event ook veral daar in Rodepan en Kimberley. Ons weet dat Solplaatjie is 'n munisipaliteit wat ons kan vat en moet vat daar in die Noord-Kaap. Allerlei probleme, maar baie dankie vir almal daar. My eie familie woon daar in 51 Parakietstraat in Rodepan, Pescaudia soos julle sê. Ek dink al die inwoners van die Noord-Kaap kort dringende verandering en die DA het baie goed gedoen in hierdie veldtog. So Harold, hoe lyk dinge op die grond?
Dr. Meyer van die Noord-Kaap af kan ek sê dat ons is opgewonde en ons is verseker dat ons 'n verandering sal bring binne die Noord-Kaap. Die toestand waarin ons is in ons provinsie, hier in die hoofstad van die Noord-Kaap, Kimberley, ons lewe in riool, ons het die grootste potholes binne in ons strate, van ons strate het glad nie beligting nie, daar is nie water vir ons mense nie, ons krag word afgesny, maar myself en ons provinsiale voorsitter, soos u tereg gesê het, ons het vir Piwe hier gehad, vir John en Appington gehad, en ons het letterlik vir 50 dae binne in die Noord-Kaap het ons veldtog gedryf. Ons was plus minus 150 wyke gaan besoek en die mense ooreed om vir die DA te stem, om verandering te bring binne in hulle munisipaliteite, om 'n beter, skoon, 'n korruptevrye regering te hê binne die munisipaliteite, sodoende dat ons kan diens lewer aan ons mense.
Yeah. And Harold, I mean, what would you say to people who are still a little bit undecided about coming out to vote? We saw how Solplaatjie is being run to the ground and how the people of that municipality deserve so much more. And what would you say to encourage them to come out to vote today and vote differently?
Yeah, so the voters must now really take cognizance of the fact that they have been living for 5 years in a municipality that is totally bankrupt, corrupt. It is so deeply corrupted, and also the poor service that they have. You witnessed when you were here, the houses that has been flooded, that is actually under sewage spill, we need to go out there. We need to say, to make sure they have the chance today, the voters out today, to change the situation, to make sure that we put together a new government here in Solplaiki so that we can deliver service to the people, that we can ensure that there's clean water, there's proper roads, we have electricity, and even our medical situation in Solplaiki, our clinics is in disarray, and we need to change it. It's only the DA that can change it, can bring change. So people must put their faith and their trust in the DA to give them that new government. We need a new majority here in Kimberley, and we need to change the situation of the people of the Northern Cape.
Absolutely, and 4-2, dear, 4-2. All the very best, Harold, to you and your team. If you're out in Kimberley and you spot Harold and his team, go say hello, show them your thumbs, but most importantly, go out to vote. Thank you and good luck for the rest of your day, Harold.
Keep well and enjoy.
You know, Richard, when we went to the Northern Cape, I think a week ago, we saw just the absolute breakdown in local government in that municipality, where an entire community had to be evacuated because that whole community was flooded by sewage. And that, for me, is one of the things that breaks my heart and makes me realize that local government could not be more crucial.
Yeah, every single person is affected by local government, by the issues that you speak about, by water, sanitation, electricity, and just generally caring for the environment those communities live in. It can't always be management by disaster, management by crisis. You know, we've experienced the fact that if we plan properly and if we have the right people doing the right jobs in the right place, you can actually get ahead of the curve on a lot of these issues. But we've seen so many of our communities having to just live by crisis management. And it's time for change. They cannot just go on living like that. They need a government that actually plans ahead, that uses the money for what it's meant to be used for, so that when there is a situation, it can be resolved pretty quickly.
Absolutely. And I mean, and this is the thing, Dr. Mayor, that, you know, ultimately it's about dignity. Well, and if people they must choose a government that will prioritize them.
Well, this is an election, Siviwe, that is important for both good governance and service delivery. But at the heart, as you say, at the very center, is to give people a dignified life, to elect public representatives that are caring for people, that have both passion but also compassion. And nothing for us is more important, particularly now given the global pandemic. We need to look after people. This country is broken. It saddens me. I was in Kimberley many years ago. I was recently, in the last week, I visited places like Carnarvon. I was in the Huntham area, in Nieuwoudtville. I also went to Loxton. I'm very pleased that in Loxton, the Democratic Alliance also has a very important public representative that understands the value of servant leadership. Even the local police, the local people come to him. Hugo Foster is doing a great job there, but also in many places in Kimberley and in the rest of the Northern Cape, particularly also in Uppington. The Northern Cape needs the Democratic Alliance, as Harold Mangloe has said. That place is broken like many other municipalities. Every single municipality in the Free State are broken. Every single municipality in KZN as well as in Northwest are broken. Kimberley, that place needs desperately change. But as you say, we need to care for our citizens, care for our voters, and really bring and understand that passion is important, but compassion is equally important. And we have selected candidates. Our mayoral candidates have deep passion. I've also, in the past week, visited our mayoral candidate in Ekurhuleni, Refilwe Nteke. You have seen here Dr. Mpho, really people that are passionate about serving the local community. So we go ask all the voters across South Africa, this is your moment in history. Yeah. There are times in history where people are saying no more. Yeah. We want change. That change can only happen when you bring out your vote for the Democratic Alliance. And that moment in history is today, the 1st of November. Please go out and vote. And go out and vote early and make sure that you vote for the Democratic Alliance, because that can bring a total new life orientation in your city, in your town. We do not want to hear sewage running in the streets. We do not want to hear communities going without water, because if you don't go without water and sanitation, there's no dignity. And the Democratic Alliance is bringing a manifesto, a commitment that offers dignity for the people of South Africa. So go out across South Africa, every single province, go out and vote for the Democratic Alliance. And see if I may just add, if you are in Umgeni, we have an outstanding public representative, Christopher Pappas. I'm looking so forward to see the inauguration of Christopher Pappas in Umgeni, there in KwaZulu-Natal. That is one town where I want to see the Democratic Alliance bringing the change. And that change is going to be real, because the people of that town desperately needs the Democratic Alliance, desperately needs Christopher Pappas, as we do in many other towns across South Africa.
Absolutely. And thank you so much for engaging with us. We've been looking at your comments. You've been talking to us. And if you've posed any questions on this broadcast, we'll do our best to answer any questions that you might have. We'll do our best to make sure that we also redirect you if you need any help. But thank you for engaging with us this morning. It says to me that you care about what happens in this country, and you care about the decision that you have to make. Remember, today is election day. You only have today to cast your vote. If you haven't voted already, like we saw with some of our leaders on the ground, please do so as soon as possible. Phone a friend, share an Uber. Voting stations are open. You have until 9 p.m. to cast your vote. We'll be back right after this.
On election day, voters have a choice to make, and it's a simple one. Am I happy with the way my town or my city is being run, or do I want something different, something better? Because that's what a local government election is all about. Who do I trust to deliver services, to ensure my town is run properly, and to ensure that public money is spent on the public? Now, it's very easy to make promises. Any party can do that. But only one party has a proven track record of service delivery. I'm standing here on the Langkloof Road, where the Eastern Cape becomes the Western Cape. And the road beneath my feet tells the story of the DA difference far better than I ever could. On election day, voters have to ask themselves, is this what I want? Or is that what I want? While others talk and promise, the DA gets things done.
So as we're wrapping up, there is a fantastic candidate in Stellenbosch who used to be the SRC president at the Stellenbosch University, Carly van Wyk. She's incredibly young and dynamic and has been using social media to reach young people, using TikTok, using everything to try and reach young people to explain to them the importance of voting. Carly, how are you doing? How is it going in Stellenbosch?
Viva!
Is it
Good morning, Sibiwe. We are here at Stellenbosch. Things are going very lucky. It is cold, it is wet, but it's a perfect day to cast your vote for the Democratic Alliance.
Absolutely, absolutely. It's so incredible to see young people stepping out of their homes, going to make their mark, Carly. I'm so proud of you guys.
Thank you so much, Sibiwe. It is so encouraging to see how many young people are here today to vote. They're standing in lines, but the IEC is helping them very efficiently. And it's so great to see people encouraging people, bringing people with lifts, Ubers coming, and even the DA, our team, are going to fetching people in residences. It's really great, and it's so encouraging to be here today because we're voting for the DA, because the DA gets things done.
Absolutely. And all the very best to you. If you're in Stellenbosch, get out of bed, get out of res, go and vote. And if you see Carly and her team, go and say hello and cast your vote. That is some exciting energy there. It makes me want to go and go get voting. I want to just do some closing remarks from our panelists, our wonderful panelists who've been truly incredible this morning, who've been incredibly informative. But just quickly, final comments on your side, sort of parting shots for people who have been watching us this morning, and what do they have to just remember? Karabo, I want to start with you. Just some parting shots to people as we are wrapping up this morning.
It is absolutely useless for you to sit and complain about the road that you drive on every day that has potholes, to have to witness your children, your siblings swim inside sewages because that's their playing ground. There's nothing else that they can do in life. To have to witness your fellow young people around you without jobs because local economies are failing them. To have to walk at night unsafe as a woman in South Africa in your municipality because street lights aren't working and because there is no metro police to help you or community forum to help you get safe, to have to every day wonder, every week wonder when the next waste pickup is. And because you have those concerns in your community, and because those concerns aren't new ones, they're historical ones, they have been going on for a very long time, this is your opportunity to stand up to say enough is enough. Go out there, take your friends, your granny, your bae, everybody, go vote for the Democratic Alliance, the only political party in South Africa that already has a track record of action, that doesn't just make promises, but commits to doing more because they already know how to do it. And you owe it to yourself to go out there to vote for that so that you can also experience life under a government that gets things done for you, where service delivery isn't a pipe dream, but is something that is readily available all day, every day for you. Oi, oi, let us
go. Absolutely. Absolutely. Tammy, coming to you, parting shots to people in Cape Town where we are about the importance of voting.
Saviwe, it's a widely known fact that where the DA governs, life is significantly better for the residents of that area. And Cape Town is a prime example of this. Over the last 2 months, I've had the wonderful opportunity to travel across the length and breadth of this beautiful metro of ours. And although things are significantly better in Cape Town, there's still a lot of issues that can be addressed, and I think that is what makes me so optimistic about our Cape Town campaign, is that we are ready to address a lot of the issues that the residents have brought up, and we are ready to do even more for the people of Cape Town and showcase to the rest of South Africa that where the DA governs, we really do get things done.
Absolutely. And so go out there and get voting and vote for a government that really seeks to do more. Dr. Mayor, what do you have to say to the people?
Well, see, we were in 1994, South Africa was at a crossroads. We are today at the same crossroads. And to make changes in 1994, people had to vote for that change. We are now in exactly the same situation. We need radical, fundamental change in South Africa. That's why we earlier launched a campaign called Time for Change. That time for change is today, wherever you live. In many towns across South Africa, we have seen that many municipalities are already a failed state. We want to prevent South Africa from becoming a full-blown failed state. We are a failing state in South Africa, but your vote can prevent us from becoming a failed state in South Africa. And that responsibility is what we call active citizenship. And active citizenship requires people to consider the circumstances and weigh up the options of all the political parties. And there's no doubt, as Tammy has indicated, the Democratic Alliance has a proven track record. The city of Cape Town, for the last 15 years, one of the best run municipalities in South Africa. We are living in the age of load shedding. This is the moment where you can switch off the electricity, the power of the ANC. Your vote can switch on the power of your family for a better life. This is your moment in history to change the course of history. Vote to effect change. Vote for the Democratic Alliance. But I would also like to thank all our staff at the Federal Head Office, all our campaign team. We've run a long campaign. I want to thank all our provincial leaders, our provincial chairperson across South Africa doing a great work, but also the many activists working for the Democratic Alliance, our national campaign manager, Gregory Krambok, as well as our deputy campaign managers, particularly Essa and Helen Ziller, the team, Thomas, our national leader, who have been leading this campaign for the last 18 months, John Steenhuis. And I want to say thank you to all of you for making this a historical moment, because this election, history will prove that this was the vote that changed the course of history. The ANC is polling below 50%. This is the time to keep them below 40% so that the Democratic Alliance can really win across South Africa.
Absolutely. Last but certainly not least, Ms. Ngwenya, what would be your parting shots to the people of Mzansi about today?
I think everyone here has been incredibly eloquent about it already, but essentially this is it. You know, your vote can win it, and you've got nothing to lose but a bad government and everything to gain, as our track record shows.
Absolutely. You've got nothing to lose but a bad government and everything to gain. So please go out there and vote. Well, that is a wrap, Mzansi. It is now over to you. The power now lies in your hands. The only way you can make a difference is by voting for the DA. Get your friends and family members, skip the queues, go and vote early. This is your chance to bring the DA difference to your municipality and improve service delivery for the next 5 years. Voting stations are open now, and they have been for the past 3 hours. You have them until 9 p.m. to go cast your vote. Election season has finally come to an end. The power now shifts to you. It is just you and the ballot box today. Today is your last chance to save South Africa. I'm off to go and cast my vote. Make sure that you do the same. Keep it tight, Mzansi.
Imagine a South Africa without the Democratic Alliance and the EFF as the official opposition. Expropriation without compensation will be law, and corruption and chaos will destroy what's left. Only the DA is big enough to stop the ANC and EFF. We have proven that where we govern, we get things done. But a vote for a smaller party only weakens the DA. Let's not play with fire. Vote DA.